Hello guys and welcome to the channel. The final day of the FIDE World Cup just concluded a few hours ago. We have a new World Cup chess champion and let's see who won the event. My lightning isn't good. I'm not sure if my audio is good because I don't have my regular setup, but okay, let's get to the game. So first game, Javokhir Sindarov plays with white pieces, plays d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5. I mean, queens can be declined, and we have Rogozin on the board. I played it with black many times when I was younger. Now I just prefer to play something like Queen's Indian or Nimzo. Um, yeah, there's a lot of theory to learn, but generally black gets very solid positions. Bishop g5 is one of the main lines these days. h6, bishop f6, queen f6, and e3. Castle, rook c1, knight d7, queen b3, and now takes c6. So the problem that has to be solved for black is basically the bishop on c8 square, because usually, as you might see, b7, c6, d5, and e6, and as well as f7 kind of create this huge triangle which blocks their own bishop on c8. So while this one will eventually go, let's say, to d3, and I don't think there are any problems. Why is it? To d3, and there are no problems for white, at least with any pieces, so they just continue with development. a4, rook e8, a5, e5. So once e5 was pushed, I mean, now we're just equal. That's one of the critical ideas in this opening. So black are basically out of danger. She takes d5, she takes d5, knight e5, queen e5, takes, and now king d2. And the plan right now is to play against this isolated pawn on d5 square. So usually, let's say the plan would be to potentially place the rook on d4 square, and somehow just maybe reroute the king, let's say to c1, b1, then kind of maybe get bishop somewhere to e2 and then to f3, just to create a lot of pressure on d5 square. So d4 was played. He was basically trying to remove his only weakness, and he created pass pawn for white pieces. Rook c5 takes, and now bishop e6, bishop d3. And from now on, there was no danger, almost no danger happening. So rook c8 b4, a5 takes, rook c5, rook c1 takes. And I think around this moment something interesting happened. So king d6, king d4, f6, h4, and now g5. And computer says that after bishop e4, black are in huge trouble. Because bishop e4, apparently what happens is takes, let's say king e6. And that would be kind of main move. And here's h5. And after f5, king d4. So if now, let's say f4, king goes to c5, b6. Yes, I mean, king c5, not, let's say f4, king c5. King d7, I can go king d5. Not king b6, king c8, and then you kind of have to think of what you're going to do. But here it's just, let's say king f7, there's king f5, king f7, king f5, and now let's say if king g7, king goes to e6, and then we'll eventually what happens is we walk towards this pawn on b7 and win the game. So bishop e4, yes, and if let's say king d4, king d6, that's a very interesting moment. Here you play g3, and you create a Zugzwang for black, as now king e6 again walks into king c5, and white are winning the game. If, let's say, f4, we play g4. If g4, we play f4, and the game is over. But let's get back to the game. So h5 was played, bishop f7, g4, bishop e4, king c7, king c5, and yeah, I mean, black made a comfortable draw from now on, takes. Yeah, little tricks, king f7, and this would have been a draw. So that was the first tiebreak game, and now let's get to the second one. Javokhir was playing with black pieces, and Wei starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight e6, bishop c4, knight f6. On this level, knight g5 usually is not played. People prefer to kind of stay calm and play d3, protecting e4 pawn, bishop e7, castle, knight c3, d6. And honestly, we didn't see a lot of interesting things in this game until some moment later in the game. Bishop a2, knight e6, rook e1, King c7, bishop e3, b6, queen f3, rook d8. So the idea is at some point to push d5, king d7, queen h3, rook e8 takes. And as you might see, Javokhir doesn't trade queens. He doesn't play queen e6, even though it was an option, but f takes e6, knight e2, d5, knight f3, rook f8. He opens up f file, h6, rook e2, rook f7, rook e1, bishop d6, bishop d2, and now rook f8. So bishop d6 was played for the sole reason of protecting e5 pawn. So now bishop c3, d4, bishop d2, c5, and the pawn on a4 is now under attack. Bishop a6, knight f1, queen 8, rook a1, rook a7, knight f3, queen c8, knight f1, b5, knight h2, c4, takes, knight g4. And knight g4 is a slight mistake, even though the position is still very, very balanced. Knight f6, rook f6, bishop e1, rook f7, f3. Nothing is really happening so far. Rook a7 tries to kind of slide his rooks. The position is of course easier to play with black pieces just because they get so much activity. Like this, just very, very strong. And rook b7, rook b2, and then trying to press c2 pawn. So bishop h4, queen g4, queen e8, and queen f7. So queen comes to defense, and as you might see by looking at the evil part, the position is equal. So it's definitely interesting, like how black can potentially break through. They can only break through unless white do something very active. They try to play for a win, because otherwise, they can just go back and forth, and it would be a draw probably. And now let's see f4. F4 is an important moment because now white are saying, all right, I have sat in defense for a long time, not in defense, but basically preparing for attack for a long time. So now it's time for me to start doing something. f4 takes e5, bishop c5, and now rook f4. And yes, the position looks good for white pieces because queen e8, queen g6 ideas all the time, so you gotta be extremely careful. Rook f2, rook f7, and queen g6 ideas once again. And at this point, white are significantly better. They were significantly better. Queen f3, rook b1, queen f4 check, king g8, and now g4 is a blunder. So computer says queen g6 would have given white almost not the win advantage, but a huge advantage, just because it's, I don't know. You don't really want to play, let's say, queen g6 takes this position with black pieces. It's a bit inconvenient in my opinion. So you gotta be extremely careful. So it's like rook f8 ideas all the time. This is potentially like a weakness. Rook f7, and then try to basically get and lift the second rook to the 7th rank, and I don't know how it would turn out, but g4 is a blunder. Now rook h1 attacking the bishop, king goes to g3, and now rook e1 attacking the queen. Rook e2 takes, and now bishop e7 trading the bishops off the board. And now the thing is, look what's being threatened. Now the only move for white pieces is to play king g2. And let's say after queen h4, which looks very logical, I'm actually interested in myself what's going to happen. There is rook f8. No, but that's impossible to find. No. So, oh my goodness, that's a wild draw. Yeah. So if king goes to g8, queen a8, queen a4, and perpetual checks. If king is7, queen b7, and then king just basically continue. And if queen ever comes to defense, guess what? Rook is under attack. So, oh my goodness, what a draw! That actually cute. So rook d4, and now after queen h4, it's hopeless. No more queen f4, no more queen f3, because after queen g2, queen a8 is being threatened. Queen g5 check, queen f3, and what happens is black are winning the game. So let's say king h4, they can just take the rook, and if queen a8 check, there is just simple king h7. There are no more checks. Checkmate is coming for black. Of course, black are going to checkmate, and just like that, we have a new World Cup chess champion, Javokhir Sindarov. What's interesting this year, if you look at the FIDE Women's World Cup, Didier Deschmuck won the event. She was born in 2005, and because I opened I opened the Twitter and the first thing I see is like, uh, I guess she was born on December 8th or 9, and Javokhir was born on December 8 or 9, the same year, 2005. So yeah, chess is getting younger. As you might see, a lot of stronger players from younger generations coming. And it's definitely interesting to see. Now we only have to know two other names to go to the candidates. Probably, most likely, it will be Hikaru Nakamura and Pragnanka. So, yes, a lot of exciting events are coming in December as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Bye bye.